Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Quick Question Podcast. This is Gabe giving you guys a quick programming update before we get into the episode. First off, we wanted to apologize for being a little bit delayed with releasing the episodes the last few weeks. Mostly my fault because I haven't been able to edit and get them out on time. Just been a really busy last couple weeks, and just wanted to give you guys a heads up for next week. It is another busy week for Matt and I. And the episode will be out at some point during the week. We just are not entirely sure when it'll be, but it'll be out at some point. But thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for sharing and listening every week. We can't wait to keep churning these out for you. And without further ado, here is episode 5 of the Quick Question Podcast. And welcome to episode 5 of the Quick Question Podcast. My name is Gabe Ryan alongside my co-host Matt Shefty.
Hello.
We are back for week 5. Thank you guys for joining us today and for joining us on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, or our YouTube version of this. We really appreciate you joining us. We've got wildcard baseball today. We have some roughing the passer calls. Talk about that a little bit.
Woo.
We also have some college basketball predictions. Run through one of the conferences today. We've got a loaded show. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. My weekend wasn't the best, but I wasn't expecting much anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all right.
Did you get a little rest and relaxation?
I did. I really got some rest.
Fall break last week for us. Huge.
Yeah.
Fall break is clutch.
I watched a lot of Game of Thrones.
What season are you on?
I'm on 3. I started fall break on like season 2, and the episodes are like an hour each. So you can already
That's
guess.
a grind.
Yeah. I watched a little, maybe too much. Maybe not enough. I don't know.
The only episodes I've watched are the ones that you watch in here before we go to bed. Yeah, not great. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. I shouldn't say it's not great.
It's
a great show.
It's a great show.
Just not one of my interests. Anyways, you ready to jump right in?
Yep.
All right. First question. Big Ten is going to be pretty good basketball conference this year.
Should be.
I know that holds a special place in your heart. Michigan State. Tell us a little bit about the Big Ten. What can we expect? Who are the best teams, best players? What are we feeling?
So it's funny you ask because Media Days is today and tomorrow. So Big Ten Media Days in Minneapolis is today. I almost said Minneapolis. Okay. All right. So where do I begin? Let's start obviously with Indiana. Indiana, for a lot of people, is the best team in the league. Personally, I'm not jumping the hype train for Indiana yet. I mean, they were a play-in team last year. I went to their play-in game. Awesome environment. But, they return a lot of guys, right? I just don't know how good they're actually going to be this year. It's Mike Woodson's second year. He was a really good head coach last year. We'll see if that carries over this year. It should. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team. They're going to be a good team. They'll be in the tournament. Obviously, they could be a team that makes the Sweet 16. But in my opinion, any further than that, I don't think so. I am not rocking the Indiana hype train. There are a lot of people that are, and I may be wrong, but in my opinion, no. Trace Jackson Davis is by far their best player. He's an awesome talent. He'll be in the NBA. Wooden Award watch list already. Like, he'll be good. He'll be solid this year.
I was going to say, I think Indiana's success relies on how far Trace Jackson Davis takes them this year.
They play Xavier here
in the Cintas Center.
Yeah.
Friday night.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
All for one. Yeah. So next I'm going to talk about Illinois a little bit. They brought in some transfers. They did really well on the transfer portal. If you don't know Matthew Mayer, then you haven't watched college basketball. You may have been under a rock. This guy, he used to play at Baylor. I think is he a senior now? He's a junior or senior.
Is he the guy with the mullet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this guy.
Yeah. So he won a championship over there. He was considered that season to be maybe not their best player, but their best talent, right? I think he was only a freshman, maybe a sophomore then. I don't know what year he is. I know he's an upperclassman, but he's a good player. He's a really fantastic player. They also got Terrence Shannon Jr. from Texas Tech, another very good talent from the Big 12. This team crushed the transfer portal. They lost Kofi Coburn, obviously, but we'll see. They have a lot of exciting young guys that are still on the team. They lost one of their guys to the transfer portal. Why am I forgetting? It's Curbelo. They lost Andre Curbelo. He joined the Big East team. I can't remember off the top of my head, but do you know?
Who? What's his name?
Andre Curbelo.
Couldn't tell you.
No. I just listened to another podcast the other day talking about him. So I completely forgot. Coleman Hawkins is another key player coming back for them. But we'll see about Illinois. I think they're going to be really good. I think they could be a top 4 seed in the nation come tournament time. I think they'll surprise a lot of people. Let's put it that way. Michigan. So Michigan returns Hunter Dickinson again. He's a good player. He is a very good player. The problem is who will lead the Wolverines backcourt. That's the biggest question in everyone's minds in Ann Arbor right now. They lost Eli Brooks. They lost Devontae Jones. They did bring in a Princeton transfer. I cannot remember his name, but why am I? But he was a really good player over there in the what do they play in? What league?
The Ivy League.
The Ivy League.
Yes.
Yeah, for Princeton.
I know that one.
Oh, it's okay, whatever. I'm not even going to try to remember his name. They have depth, but a lot of it comes at the big. So they did lose a couple freshmen on the team last year who were very good. But Caleb Houston and Musa Diabate, they're going to be solid players in the NBA, I think. I don't know how solid, but they'll be in the NBA for a long time, in my opinion. Next, we will mention Michigan State because they are Michigan State, and I love Michigan State. For Michigan State, they have a huge question mark at center. Usually, if you think of Tom Izzo, you think of these backbone centers, these traditional big men in college basketball that will knock your teeth in. You think of the guys like Zach Randolph. You think of Draymond Green. Jeez. You think of...
Are you okay?
I'm the hiccups.
Frog in your throat?
The hiccups. Sorry.
Oh.
You think of guys like Xavier Tillman, Knicks, even if I know Matt Costello came on towards the end of his career, but Matt Costello was a solid player for us. Adrian Payne. These are some big guys, Brandon Dawson, who are, and even Nick Ward, just guys who will punch you in the mouth.
Traditional old school big men.
Yeah. Guys who aren't too tall, right? Maybe capping out, reaching at 6'10", but they
grinders.
They are rebounders, grinders, defenders, and they can score. Michigan State doesn't have that this year. Mady Sissoko, a lot of people have said that he's improved. I hope to see that on the basketball court when it actually matters. Jackson Kohler is a freshman, 4-star. He will be a solid player for us. Tom Izzo has related him to Zach Randolph in ways. I have a little bit of a question mark with Kohler's defense, watching his highlights from high school ball, and then his spring and summer highlights in the Drew League with a bunch of Michigan State players. They bring back a plethora of guards. Jaden Akins is one of my favorite players in the country. He only, if you look at his stats, which I say stats don't tell you everything, he only averaged 3.4 points a game last year. But this guy made mad improvements in the offseason. He's going to be really good. AJ Hogard obviously needs to be the team leader, the vocal player on that team. Led the team in assists last year. Don't be surprised or don't even expect anything else. He'll do that again. Tyson Walker is a solid point guard. I think one of the best backcourt duos right there between Hogard and Tyson Walker in the Big Ten. They also have Pierre Brooks, a tall guard. We'll see about that for them. Again, that question mark is still big men. They do have Joey Hauser. They do have Malik Hall, 2 other big men that are really promising.
Yeah.
And they have experience, but I don't know if any of them can run center.
Joey Hauser's not a center.
No, not at all.
No shot.
The Buckeyes, I will mention them real quick. They did bring in a loaded recruiting class. And Justice Suing is healthy, and hopefully he stays healthy because that team can be really good. They can be really good, especially in conference play. The Hawkeyes, they obviously have Chris Murray and a bunch of guys who can shoot the lights out. They're not going to kill you with their athleticism, but man, they can shoot. Okay. One name I want to watch out for, young guy. He's a sophomore, Peyton Sanford. I think he could be a very special player for Iowa. He could be the difference between this team, being just a shooting team, pull some upsets here and there, and is a 9 seed, or a team that can really compete for a Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
He could be that guy off the bench or starting. That could be Sanford. Wisconsin, they have 2 All Big Ten selections in Tyler Wall and Chucky Hepburn, but they lack depth. And a lot of people have them either first team out of the tournament or last team in the tournament.
What about Greg Gard's son? I heard he's really good.
I have not heard of this kid. I'm going to be honest.
Were you the one that showed me the video of him last night?
I don't think so.
Oh, it was somebody else. Anyways, Greg Gard's son, walk on, gets to play, and they're playing a scrimmage game in the Kohl Center, and he takes a 3, and I think he misses it long by like 5 feet. It was horrific.
Okay.
And so basically, or no, it was Michael that showed.
Oh, okay.
Makes a lot of sense because he's one of our friends, Wisconsin fan.
Yep.
And he apparently scored 7 points a game at a very small high school in Wisconsin. No, not a good player at all, and somehow is on the Wisconsin roster and just he missed a 3 by like 4 or 5 feet.
Yep.
I could get closer, left-handed, I believe. Anyways.
So I want to bring up 2 more teams, just 2 more. I want Maryland. Maryland, they did bring over Kevin Willard from Seton Hall.
Mm-hmm.
What can they
Great
do in
coach.
his first year? Yeah, that's the one thing I'll leave at. Dante Scott is also a good player. And then last one is the Boilermakers of Purdue. Obviously, they have that big guy, Zach Edey. You know how good he is. He's a good player. He's 7'4", can't really do anything with his left hand, but his right hand, you force him to his left if you can. But his right, he's automatic. Tough to stop. He's getting better at free throws. He's a good player. Okay.
You can't teach 7'4".
No, you can't. That's all genetics. And then they have a lot of depth there. We'll see how good they are this season. I think they have potential to be top 3 in the Big Ten. I'm not going to place them there yet. I'm not even going to lay out predictions yet for the conference.
Yeah.
But I just want to give everyone, an intro to how Big Ten basketball could fare for each of these teams.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yep. Do I see a national championship in the Big Ten this year?
No.
Nope. There could be, but not in my opinion. No, I don't.
I'll go ahead and say it for you. No.
I said it already.
Okay.
No.
Well, I just
Maybe.
re-emphasize what you said.
Okay.
Double down.
All right. So we're going to move on.
All right.
Next question is for Gabe, and it has to do with the wild card. What are your reactions to everything that happened over this weekend?
All right. So the 2022 MLB Playoffs began last weekend, as Matt just said. The wild card round is now over. I'm going to start in the National League. We're going to start with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Philadelphia Phillies. Game 1. Cardinals are up 2-0 against the Phillies. Helsley comes in, been a lockdown closer for the Cardinals all year.
Mm-hmm.
Walks 3 guys, ends up hitting Alex Bohm.
Yep.
Walks him in, gives up a couple really dinky hits. Arenado makes an error. Never happens. The Phillies score 6 runs in the the top of the 9th. They go on to win that game. And then in the second game, what's his name? Ranger Suarez completely shoves against the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get anything going offensively, and they win that game 2-1. They advance to the playoffs. Everybody was counting the Phillies out. I don't think if you went back to July, June, nobody would have thought the Phillies would have made the wild card, but now they're in the NLDS. Yeah. They got hot at a very important time. Yeah. And I think they just fed off that energy that they got from the 9th inning the night before. It was a crazy occurrence. And then you have to make the point for the Cardinals, you're losing Yadier Molina for the rest of his career. Albert Pujols is retiring. Paul Goldschmidt played awful. So did Nolan Arenado. Both of them didn't play well. Arenado hit a ball in game 1 that should have been a home run, but the wind was so bad in St. Louis that it kept it in the park.
Wow.
And he hit it probably to the deepest part of the park. Yepes came in and pinch hit in the
I saw
first
that.
game, hit a 2-run home run to
Yeah.
take the lead. That's how they scored the runs.
Mhm.
Pujols and Yachty had a hit in their final at bat,
Mhm.
which that was cool to see,
Yeah.
have them go out on a high note. As much as I hate the Cardinals, I'm a Reds fan. I do not like the Cardinals, but you have to respect the legacies that these two people had. When I played baseball, I was a catcher and I looked up to Yadier Molina. He's the best to ever do it from that position, in my opinion.
Mhm.
He's right there with Johnny Bench.
Yeah.
I think defensively he might have a little bit of edge on Johnny Bench, but
Yeah,
either
obviously.
way,
Yeah.
really good player. What he's meant to that organization, same thing with Pujols, is astronomical.
Mhm.
And who knows, Wainwright could be gone too. It's kind of a turning of the page for the St. Louis franchise. Hopefully, in the next few years, they got a lot of really good young talent. Got Paul Goldschmidt, they've got Nolan Arenado. They'll be fine, but
Yep.
it's a disappointing loss, especially for that city of St. Louis. They thought this was going to be their magical year. Albert Pujols and Yachty were going to go out on top, but unfortunately, that is not the case. But props to the Philadelphia Phillies. They came in, did what they had to do. Bryce Harper hit a huge home run in game two. It's really cool to see him contributing in the playoffs and get that opportunity, which is why he came to the Phillies. And they've got a good roster. They're competitive and they play the Braves today.
Yep.
We're recording this on Tuesday, so the NLDS, ALDS start today. They are playing the Braves as we speak. And then in the other series, the Padres go into New York City and they beat the Mets
Mhm.
at Citi Field. Unbelievable. They took Scherzer deep 4 times in game one. 4 times. Scherzer has never given up that many. I think there was a stat that no starting pitcher has given up 4 home runs in a playoff start, either in a certain parameter of innings or just ever. Like
Yep.
crazy stat. And it's Max Scherzer. Obviously, you know his track record. He shoves, especially in the biggest moments, on the biggest stages. And to see the Padres just come out and just absolutely kill him
Yep.
was really cool to see. The Mets bounce back in game two. They win. And then in game three, Joe Musgrove and that Padres pitching staff said,
If you would have
to the
told me
Mets.
at the beginning of the year that Joe Musgrove was going to absolutely dominate the Mets,
7 innings, 1 hit.
absolutely. If you told me that in a playoff series that he was going to dominate and help this team advance, I would have looked at you and said you're crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what? Good for him and good for that organization. I feel bad for Frank the Tank.
Yeah. I mean,
feel
I
bad.
feel bad for the Mets fans.
Mhm.
It's very hard when you win 100 games in the regular season. You finish second in your own division, and then you get exited in the wild card.
Yep.
But props to the Padres. Joe Musgrove, 7 innings, 1 hit, as I just said. The bullpen didn't give up any runs the rest of the game.
Mhm.
So 9 innings, 1 hit from your pitching staff. That's getting it done
Yeah.
in every way. And there's a very interesting wrinkle that happened in about the 6th inning. Joe Musgrove is out there pitching. Buck Showalter asked the umpire to go out and check him for foreign substances on his ear because he thought that his ears looked shiny or something to that effect. I think it more had to do with trying to get Musgrove out of the game, get him
Yeah.
off his rhythm,
I agree.
and Buck Showalter doing Buck Showalter things.
Yep.
Musgrove, after the ear check, they literally rubbed his ears during the game.
Mhm.
I'll throw a video on YouTube. It's it's kind of comical. Like, it's what are you watching?
Exactly.
But
I agree.
Musgrove, the batter after strikes him out, does a little gesture to the Mets dugout, and I think they reinvigorated his spirit a little bit. And just really, really good job by the Padres. They're going to go on to face the Dodgers in LA. They're division rivals.
Good luck.
Yeah, it'll be a tough game or a tough series for the Padres, but they beat the Mets at home.
They're
They
playing
beat DeGrom.
inspiring,
They beat
know?
well, they didn't win against DeGrom, but they beat the Mets who have DeGrom and Scherzer.
Yeah.
They knocked two of the best pitchers in the game out.
Mhm.
That's huge.
Yep.
And then moving on to the American League, the Guardians and the Rays played in Cleveland. First game was or both games were just pitching duels. Shane McClanahan and Shane Bieber faced off in game one. Jose Ramirez had the go-ahead home run in the 7th inning, a 2-run shot to center field. Shane McClanahan pitched really, really well. Just gave up that one mistake to Jose Ramirez, left the curveball over the plate. He took him deep.
Oh yeah.
And then Diaz for the Rays in that same game hit a home run off of Bieber. Bieber went 7.1 innings, just absolutely went crazy, had 8 strikeouts. Really, really good game. And then game 2 was nothing into the 5th inning. And I can't remember who hit the
15th?
15th inning.
Yeah, you said, yeah.
15th
They
inning.
said 5th.
No, 15th inning.
Yeah, 15th.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they
Just
gave
crazy pitching performances. Tristan McKenzie and Tyler Glass now faced off. And for the life of me, I can't remember who hit the walk-off home run.
I
Was it
think
Cabrera
I don't think
or
so. I
shoot?
think I
I'm
did
gonna look
text
this
you.
up
I
real
texted
quick.
you after the game and I said 15 innings, 1-0 victory, 11 hits, and I have never seen a crowd this season more electric in baseball.
It was
That's what playoff baseball is
absolutely-
all about.
It was. It's one of those games. There's no offense, whatever,
Mhm.
but it's still one of the most entertaining games of the day,
Yeah.
just because every pitch means so much. That's the
Yep.
beautiful thing about the playoffs is the magnitude of each pitch is just intensified so much. Oscar Gonzalez is the player that hit the walk-off home run.
That's who it was.
Hit it into left field. The place goes absolutely crazy. Austin Hedges, the catcher for the Cleveland Guardians, takes off his jersey. Just there's a lot of interesting antics that happen when you win a series in the playoffs. But champagne was popping.
Mhm.
They were having a great time. Props to Cleveland for taking advantage of what was given to them.
I wonder if all of them can actually drink champagne legally because they are the
That
youngest
is,
team
that
in
is-
baseball.
that is a very good point. I mean, they're the youngest team in baseball. Austin Hedges and Luke Maley, who's actually a local product
Mhm.
of Northern Kentucky. Those two are 32 years old and they are the oldest
Yep.
players on the team. That is crazy.
I know. That's nuts.
But in the other American League series, the Seattle Mariners go up to Toronto, one of the toughest postseason atmospheres to play in all of sports, I would say, and just win 2 games. Luis Castillo goes out and just absolutely dominates.
Mhm.
I love to see that for him, especially since he did so much good stuff with the Reds for a long time. Luis Castillo came out there, did what they brought him there to do,
Mhm.
and that was to shove. And then in game 2, the Blue Jays go up early. Teoscar Hernandez hits 2 home runs. They go up 8-1 at one point, and then in the 6th inning, they were up 9-2, and the Mariners come all the way back. They took out Gosman in the 6th inning, and then they hit the guy Carlos Santana came in and hit a 3-run home run, cut the lead to 3, and then they just kept chipping away, kept chipping away, kept chipping away. And J.P. Crawford hits a ball in between George Springer in center, Bo Bichette at short. They're going after
Yep.
it. Kind
They
of falls in
collide.
no man's land. They collide, 3-run score, tie ball game.
Yeah.
And then in the 9th inning, Adam Frazier hits a double down the right field line to take the lead.
Mhm.
Unbelievable comeback for the Mariners. The place, they had a watch party at the Mariners Stadium
Yeah.
in Seattle. Place is going absolutely crazy. So good to see that fan base who has endured a lot in the last 30 years or so, maybe
Yeah.
even more than that. And just to see them advance, to see them win in the way that they did was really cool. I want to talk about this. The rally shoe. Did you see this?
No.
So at the watch party, the Seattle watch party, there was a fan that decided in the 7th or 8th inning to take off his flip flop and put it on his head. And that was his rally cap,
Yeah.
essentially. Just anything to will any luck. And
Of course.
the Mariners
Yeah.
put a picture out on Twitter. It
Rally
spread like
shoot.
wildfire.
Yeah.
And at some point, pretty much everybody in the stadium, in the Mariners stadium that was watching the game had their shoes on their head. And people were sending in pictures from around the country with shoes on their head. And the Mariners actually asked the guy for the shoe, asked them to sign it, and they're putting it in their Hall of Fame that they have at at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. That's only in
There's
sports.
just little moments like that
and only in
sports.
baseball. Yeah.
Where there's gonna be an image on someone's wall one day
Yeah.
of everyone in the crowd just standing there in anticipation
With their head.
with shoes
Or
on their
not
head.
with their head, with their shoes. Yeah, shoes on their head. It's crazy.
Yeah, insane. I don't want to talk about that game too much because I will go on and on. That was such an awesome game. That was like that comeback was unbelievable. Sitting there watching
Yeah.
them down like 8-1, and you're like, whoa, they just, wow, this is going to be another game 3 coming up.
Yeah.
And nope.
It's just one of those things. It's only happens in baseball because there's such a superstitious aspect of it.
Mhm.
But just unbelievable for the Mariners. They're going to play the Houston Astros in
Yep.
the first round of the ALDS. And I forgot to mention the Guardians are going to play the Yankees. I don't think the Guardians have much chance, if I'm going to be honest. At least from an offensive standpoint, they can pitch pound for pound with
Oh,
any
yeah.
team. That's all these teams that are facing off can pitch with the best of them.
Mhm.
The Phillies have some really good starters. Obviously, the Padres rotation is hot.
Yep.
Um, but I just don't think the Guardians have the offensive power to stack up with the Yankees. And then the Houston Astros Mariners series will be an AL West division matchup, which should be pretty interesting to see what happens. But that's pretty much all I got. And I will
Yeah. Actually,
educate you guys what happens in the ALDS next week.
before we go on,
Yes.
I just we can either play the clip or I can mention it. 14-1, right? Remember last episode when I said we made a joke,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It was about the 100 losses, and we were hoping that they don't have 100 losses. And I was like,
Yeah.
imagine they lose 14-1.
So
They lost
for all of
15-2.
you, for all of you wondering what we are referencing, last week we were recording the episode the day of the Reds' last home game against the Chicago Cubs.
Yep.
I was hoping that they won that day to avoid losing 100 games,
So was I.
which I think would have been an accomplishment based on how their season started. And Matt said something to the effect, I'll just play the clip. If we weren't going to lose 100 games, I would have laughed in your face. This might be the biggest win for Reds baseball in a long time.
If they win.
rallied. I mean, if they win, which is they're playing the Cubs. So at least we're not playing like the Giants or the Braves or
14-1.
Well, they didn't go as planned. Lost 15-2.
I've
that
got
day.
some kind of mojo in me.
Yeah.
These predictions just
Matt's just unbelievable.
They just happen.
What everything he does.
just sometimes I'll, when we're sitting together watching baseball, I'll go swing and a miss. And then pitch, swing and a miss.
You know what you should do? You should gamble on every single pitch for baseball.
No, I won't, because
Why not? Why
that's
not?
suicide.
Why not?
No.
Okay, whatever.
That's too much, because think how many pitches are in a baseball game and how many of them I'd get right. How many different combinations could happen?
That's true.
Yeah. Think of the math.
Okay.
I would be in significant debt.
I don't think there's any way around that.
Yeah. Unless I bet on one pitch and somehow won big and then took my money and ran.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be it.
All right, so we're going to transition to the last topic. Matt, NFL Week 5? Is it Week 5?
Yes.
NFL Week 5 just wrapped up. There's some interesting officiating calls, say. Sunday, the Buccaneers are playing the Falcons. Tom Brady gets sacked. Looked to be a clean hit.
Mhm.
The Falcons get charged for unnecessary, what's it called?
Roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer. Gosh, I can't
all right.
think today. Get called for roughing the passer.
Same thing.
The clip goes all over Twitter, all over social media, spreads like wildfire. People are very upset with the NFL and the way that rule is being used. And then last night on Monday Night Football, Chris Jones strip sacks Derek Carr, possesses the football, and then proceeds to fall on Derek Carr because he was going to sack him. And because his full body weight fell on top of Derek Carr, he got popped for roughing the passer. They lose the whole fumble thing, and then the Raiders get the ball back. Ultimately, it didn't end up hurting them because they won the game. Yeah. But I want to ask you this question. Do you think the NFL needs to back off a little bit with the roughing the passer call, or do they have to implement new ways to review the call during the game? Like maybe make it a reviewable play for these coaches.
So I say same thing earlier about roughing the passer and unnecessary roughness, because I think it's so overcalled. I get you're trying to protect the players, and they're really ramping that up in NFL and college, but it is called too much. It's gone out of proportion, in my opinion. Like if you hit a guy that's going out of bounds and you hit him like 1.5 seconds, or half second or 1 second after he steps out, and your momentum carries you into him and you hit him, it's 15 yards. It's so dumb. Like I can't, unless he's going out of his way, running across half the field to hit the guy when he's out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's his momentum. Like,
It's like Chris Jones said last night. He's like, what do you want me to do? I'm 325
yeah,
pounds and
exactly.
I'm falling
Mhm.
and gravity works.
Yeah.
Like, even if he tries to contort his body one way, it's almost impossible to get
He's a
completely
big
out of
guy.
the way.
I mean, he covers a lot of space. He's
and
still
he's
going to hit
holding
him.
the football
Yeah.
with one hand at least.
Mhm.
He's trying to juggle two things. You can't just tell him to move out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make a ton of sense. I think Troy Aikman made a really good point last night on after the Monday Night Football game. Scott Van Pelt asked him basically the same question. And he was like, I think the rule is fine. It just needs to be reviewable. Because if it's reviewable, then the NFL can go
now
and
we're
make a
getting
judgment
into
call.
an entirely new wormhole.
Yeah.
Because reviews have been so inconsistent and have been a problem
Mhm.
in many different sports for years. Let's think back, just for example, right? You remember when they had pass interference reviewable and
Yeah.
how refs had zero, like I get it's in the handbook. They had zero idea during the course of the year of how to review it. So nothing really changed, right? The bad calls were still made and you could review it and they might uphold or reverse it. A good call could be made and they may reverse it. Like nothing really changed. It just slowed down the game, right? These
Mhm.
reviews weren't quick. That's what a lot of like replay reviews are for. It's to make the game fair and
Quicker.
quicker. It doesn't make it quicker. Like you've seen like in football, they take upwards of 8 to 10 minutes just to look at replays. It's like, come on.
Baseball's not a quick process either.
No. And that like this is why I have an issue with it is because either just ramp up the reviews, either ramp it up and try to call the best game you can, or, and I think an easier solution is drop a lot of the reviews. Maybe not all, maybe all, but just drop it, right?
So
Because
live with the bad calls
just
instead of
live
try
with
to
it.
fix everything.
It's human. There's players out like Tom Brady throws an interception. It's human, right? The ref makes a bad call. It's human. And it's really tough to be on the wrong side of those. All right. Being a Detroit sports fan, I've had a lot of those, right? But guess what? You get over it. And then you're like, all right, whatever. I remember when Galarraga had his perfect game and they called him safe at first. All right. That's a historic moment that got taken away in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, right?
Mhm.
You want to get so angry. I know, but at and the ump, and I think it was the next morning after
He
like,
made a
woke up,
mistake, and
he was crying about it.
Yeah.
The ump was, right? We make mistakes, all right? And we move on, right? I'm a Tigers fan. It's like if someone mentions it, it gets in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that was an annoying moment. But I don't think about it on a daily basis. I don't have it written on my walls, like saying, "I'm gonna get this guy. I'm gonna go after him. I'm gonna rip him a new one when I see him." Like, no, it's like it is what it is. So there have been so many issues with replay review, right? Football, soccer with VAR, and in the MLS, they've screwed up so many reviews in the MLS. But I don't even watch it enough. Like I don't watch MLS enough to go on and on about it. I've seen different clips of them just messing up these reviews. It's horrible. But the only sport that has it truly right, in my opinion, is tennis.
Yeah.
Right? Tennis has the what is it, the Hawkeye system, where they can pinpoint exactly where the ball lands. I want to bring up golf too, like where you can like change a player's score after he finishes. You can say, "Oh yeah, that right there, we gotta replay that," or like something stupid, and then give him an extra stroke or two or whatever. It's like, come on, like just let him play. Like,
sure, but in golf, in a way, that can be deemed as cheating.
Mhm.
Where
That's
football,
that's
it's
true.
more just you made a bad call or you didn't.
Right.
Same thing with baseball. Golf, it could, because it's only you,
Right.
it could be deemed as
If
cheating.
everyone on the course miscounts a score, right, and then they change it, I get that, right? But if someone actually goes out and cheats, then I completely understand why they would obviously up his
It's
score.
one thing because a lot of times if you see golfers, if they have the way you're supposed to do it is if you have a questionable call, you call a rules official over, you get the ruling, and then if something's assessed to you, you deal with it.
Mhm.
But if you just kind of brush don't do anything about it, then it can come back to bite you. That's where
Mhm.
you get yourself
Yeah.
in trouble.
I remember last year during the Michigan State Miami game in football, and Michigan State on one of their drives only played 3 downs. Like it was, sorry, not 3 downs. It was they went from first down straight to third down and then fourth down,
I mean,
and no one made the correction. And I looked at my brother. I'm like, didn't they just like play 2 downs and punt? What happened? He's like, like they went into a timeout commercials, so I'm guessing like
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
just forgot about it somehow. And he's like, yeah, you're right. They only played 2
because
downs.
there was an Angels game this year, and the guy got 4 strikes,
Yeah,
and
like
then
shit happens.
Yeah,
All right,
move
It
on.
happens. Move on. Everyone makes mistakes. Whatever. Right. So what I think they should do is one of two things: either get reviews on this, which will maybe screw up the process even more or throw it into more of a wormhole, or just stop calling it. All right.
Yeah.
Just loosen the rule up a little bit. Tom Brady wasn't hurt after the hit. There was nothing terrible about the hit. It was a clean hit, and they throw a flag on it because
No.
you gotta make sure you gotta get a blanket for the quarterback and make sure you lay him down like the Kevin Hart thing. Yeah. Like come on.
Just yeah.
It's a little frustrating. Either and I think a lot of replay reviews have to be just done. Get rid of it. Get rid of it, in my opinion.
Okay.
Some of it is crucial, but a lot of it is not.
Okay. Interesting take, but
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from.
Mhm.
All right, you ready to get into how deep is your love?
Yep. So, how deep is your love? Featuring Gabe and only Gabe,
All right.
because I'm just not gonna talk this week. I was
He's
gonna
too
go. I
depressed.
was gonna go Red Wings, but they start their season like on Friday. So and the span of when we're recording now to our next time, there's 3 games played, and I kind of want to talk because I've waited so long
Yeah,
to
I
talk about them.
the game.
I'll just wait
Mhm.
until after they start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So this is How Deep Is Your Love? This is a segment where Matt and I like to talk about our favorite teams. Mine are the Cincinnati Reds, Cincinnati Bengals, and the Xavier Musketeers. Matt is a Michigan State fanatic as well as a Detroit sports fan. This is our time to talk about, empathize, a cathartic time for us to talk about our teams, whether it's good or bad. And this week, I'm going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. They lost last week against the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Lamar Jackson and crew. To be honest, I'm not as upset necessarily about how the game ended. I know they lost. I know it's a tough loss. It's a division loss. I think this team is going to come around at some point. However, the offense has been struggling, and it has been struggling for some time. I don't think it's hit its stride even remotely this year. Joe Mixon finally got going a little bit. He had 14 carries for 75 yards. He looked a lot more like himself last night, or 2 nights ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the run game has been something that has been very problematic the first 5 games of the year, because if they can't run the ball, then they're very one-dimensional, very predictable, and their play calls have been very predictable. Like, there's a stat: if Joe Burrow sets up in the shotgun, there's a 75% chance he's going to throw the ball. If you're a defense, just sit back.
Yep.
Especially with Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, like, make them beat you underneath. Just don't give up the big plays.
Pull off what Cincinnati did in the playoffs last year.
And Joe Burrow got quoted after the game and said, I mean, there's really nothing we can do because teams are just going to play a soft zone on us.
They're running our defense.
Exactly. Until they can spread them out, they can show a consistent running game. They can have T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd just cut under the middle of the field. I would just love to see them throw the ball over the middle instead of these horizontal passes.
I would like to see the Bengals solve their own defense like other teams have been solving their defense, so that they can sharpen their offense and also change up their defense. See what I'm saying?
Interesting, because their defense has been the best part of the team, hands down.
Hands down.
They gave up 1 touchdown to the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson has been arguably the best quarterback this entire season.
He's been really good.
And they've scored a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And to only give up 1 touchdown and 4 field goals, I mean, if you get over the 50-yard line, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, that's automatic 3
Yeah,
points.
because Lamar's not taking a sack, and Justin Tucker has
Is good from about 80 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I don't care how old he is. He's good from like 80, 85.
Did you see the stare down he had with the
Yes.
camera? Yeah,
That was
so
that was
cool.
good. The Bengals, just the offense wasn't great. In the third quarter, probably the most pivotal part of the game. They're down 13-10. They get down first and goal on the 1, and then they try the Philly special and get knocked back for 12 or 13
Yeah.
yards. And a couple plays later, they hit Chase on third down to get back to the 2-yard line. Good play. He was very close to breaking free and getting into the end zone.
Mhm.
And then they try the old Patrick Mahomes shovel pass play to Stanley Morgan, who's their 5th best receiver, hasn't had a target the entire season. And Burrow flipped it to Morgan, but shocker, there's about 4 Baltimore Ravens right there, like waiting for him. Just like, I dare you. Just a very untimely play call. A lot of backlash has gone to Zach Taylor because he is the main play caller for the Bengals. And a lot of people are questioning whether he should be the one that's doing it or whether it should be Brian Callahan or somebody else. Because if you're a head coach in the NFL, if you're a head coach in any sport, you've got a lot to deal with during the game. And having play calling as one of those responsibilities is a lot.
Yep.
And I think that takes you away from making more cognizant decisions in important times during the game. Tyler Boyd said the whole Philly special play was supposed to be against man coverage, and then they dropped a zone, or
Mhm.
one of the two ways.
Yep.
That or vice versa.
Yep.
And it just got blown up. Nobody's panicking, whatever, which I understand. They didn't have T. Higgins, which obviously affected a lot of the pass game. I think they'll be fine. The next 6 games, I think, are very winnable games for the Bengals. Let's hope they can go on a little bit of a run and then end the season maybe 500 those last 6 because they go through the gauntlet. But I'm not panicking yet. But offense, let's go.
Don't
Let's
panic
go.
yet. No time to panic, especially when you've been to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I didn't mean to distract him.
No.
I showed him it's 7-1 Phillies right now.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens for next week's episode on what teams are going to advance to the American or National League Championship Series.
Mhm.
All right. This last segment, instead of doing rapid fire questions this week, we are going to do some predictions / picks.
Mhm.
We are calling this the perfect prompt
Paper picks. Perfect prompt paper picks.
We each have a stack of papers with logos of
both teams.
Both teams in a particular matchup. This could be college football. This could be NFL.
For example.
This could be baseball. So Matt is holding up a picture of the Penn State Nittany Lions.
And we have Michigan.
And Michigan on one side.
Who will I pick?
So if you're watching this on YouTube, this will make a lot more sense.
I think you know who I'm going to pick. Anyway.
And if you're listening on Spotify, wherever, we'll do as good a job as we can to explain what team and why.
Yep.
So, Matt, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, we'll kick it off with the team I just showed between Penn State and Michigan. It's not personal, all right? This has nothing to do with
I highly doubt that.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because you'll see, it's not personal. But I'm still going to go Penn State because so the reason is Penn State to me has played really good teams. They've proven they're a good team. They can play in all kinds of weather. Michigan, their best team they've played, in my opinion, is Maryland.
Okay.
It's Maryland.
That's fair.
Right?
That's
and,
fair.
and I know they beat Michigan State. I get that. But like Maryland is not anything to write home about. Penn State is definitely something to write home about. And I think Penn State is going to walk in there and shock the Wolverines. They've been in tight games. Like usually they've pulled away in the fourth quarter of games. It's been like that. I don't think they can do that against Penn State, especially against that defense. They can't afford that. I think McCarthy makes some mistakes, and I think Penn State goes on the road and shocks Michigan and Ann Arbor.
I'm going to pick the Michigan Wolverines. To be honest, I don't know much about either team. I know Michigan is undefeated. I would assume Penn State is undefeated as well.
They are.
Big house. Michigan's going to be Michigan. Good opponent. I think they're going to be up for this game. They haven't really had a reason to be up so far. I mean, they played Iowa.
Yep.
No offense to my Hawkeyes out there, but not great competition. I think Michigan's ready to go. I think they clean house with the Penn State Nittany Lions, and I think they get the job done.
Yep. So next game, we have Oklahoma State and TCU. TCU is at home in this game. Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, one of the best coaches in college football. This is an interesting pick because like TCU has really shown off that they're a good team.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma State has also shown off they are one of the best teams in college football
Mhm.
for how many years now? Like it's been since Mike Gundy has been here. Like
Two good teams.
yeah, he hasn't missed a bowl game, and they probably won't miss a bowl game this year. This is probably the toughest one for me because there's so much on the line for these two teams, especially in a weak Big 12. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
We'll switch off. You go
You know
first on
what?
this one.
I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to pick TCU. They've been hot this year.
Yep.
They've had some really good games, good team, but I'm more going to pick them for their mascot. I think the Horned
Horned
Frog
Frogs.
is one of the coolest like nicknames. Like, go Frogs.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I'll be completely honest. Really, nothing other than the mascot for me.
I think I'll go Oklahoma State. Just,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I think on paper they are the better team.
Mhm.
Even though TCU is a very good team, and I think they'll be in a New Year's Six Bowl this year. Good for them. No one saw that coming. Okay. Next, we have NC State and Syracuse. And I'm going to go NC State. Another road victory in this. I don't know why I keep picking road victories, but I'm going NC State because, number one, they are the better team on paper, hands down. All right. Number two, Syracuse has got to play some competition. Here's some competition. It's coming up. Syracuse has a huge chance to up their resume. But NC State, I think, is too good, both offensively and defensively. For Syracuse, I think it's going to be a heartbreak for your Orange.
They are my Orange.
Mhm.
And a few weeks ago, I was watching football with some buddies, and Purdue, Syracuse had a wild game back and forth. Purdue ended up going up by like 2. They were down 2 scores. Now
Yeah.
they're up a touchdown. and
Fourth
then
quarter was crazy.
Fourth quarter was absolutely bonkers. And then the Qs come down, walk-off touchdown, undefeated still. I called them my sleeper team
Hey,
for the college
one
football
shining moment,
playoff,
you know?
which, hey, I know it's out there.
It's definitely
It's
out there.
way out there.
Yeah. And now you've released it on air.
Now I've released it
Yeah.
on air.
So
So you
if
know
they-
what? I am sticking with the Orange. I think Syracuse gets the job done. Unbelievable upset against NC State. It's at the Carrier Dome.
We do apologize if you're listening on podcast and we're just flipping through papers. But
Okay.
D-
Yeah.
deal with it. It's okay.
That is
I'm sorry.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
sorry.
Good God.
I'm
I
s-
think
I'm sorry.
everybody just turned their podcast off
Wow. I
Yeah.
hope not.
because you were rude. Anyways.
I have full belief
Go
that they'll
Orange.
turn it back on.
I believe in you. Until you lose, I am on your side.
I don't root for either team. I just have my picks.
Well,
Next, we have
I'm rooting
Alabama
for
and Tennessee. Actually, before we mention that, I want to mention another SEC game, which we will not pick. I was going to pick, but we're not going to pick anymore because it's such a meaningless SEC game between Mississippi State and Kentucky. I just want to explain. Actually, I'm not even going to explain it because it's already been explained so many times on different podcasts and on air. The AP poll is such a joke. You have James Madison ranked. James Madison. You're telling me James
Hey.
Madison. I get they've beat teams. You tell me they can beat Baylor. You tell me that they can beat BYU, Notre Dame. You're telling me they can beat some of those teams who should be ranked.
until
Right?
they get the chance, you can't say that they can't.
LSU was ranked last week. They played Florida State, who was the first team out of the rankings last week. And Florida State won. We all know how that went. How? How is LSU ranked above them? How?
Politics,
Just 'cause they beat-
Shafty.
The big 3 letters, SEC. The big 3 letters. Once you pull a win in that division, doesn't matter who, you're ranked. You could be 4-1 and you beat Vanderbilt. You're ranked. It's like, come on. It's such a joke.
All right, moving on.
Okay. Alabama, Tennessee.
Rocky Top is going to be a place
Mhm.
to go this year. Alabama, for whatever reason, always struggles against Tennessee, especially when it's at Tennessee. No matter how good they are, if you go back to when Saban first got there, they had some very close games against Tennessee, and Tennessee had no right to be in the same stadium as them. And Bryce Young is still hurt with the shoulder. Hopefully he comes back for the game, but we still don't know. They didn't look great against Texas A&M at home. I think there is some concern for Alabama. but roll tide roll.
Yeah.
I don't think
Is that your guaranteed pick?
this is not my guaranteed pick.
Okay.
Not
I
even
forgot to
close.
mention, we forgot to mention that we have one guaranteed pick in all these picks, and we will just
Yeah.
sprinkle it up and throw it.
I think Alabama gets the job
You'll
done.
know.
I don't know how it's going to happen. I know it's going to be a great game. I know it's going to be a crazy game. But I still think it's hard. In my opinion, I think it's hard to pick against.
I get
them.
that. I mean, how can you pick
It's just like
against
it's
Nick
picking.
Saban?
It's like picking against Belichick.
Yeah, how can you pick against the Tide? Right.
No.
I've only picked road victories so far. How can I pick against the Tide? Right. Nick Saban is Nick Saban. They're gonna have this team. I mean, maybe they'll have this team ready to go. I just can't. I can't pick against Saban, but I'm going to. So Tennessee, to me, Hendon Hooker is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He should be a first-round pick. I think the Lions should go after him. Throw your cards on the table for that guy. All right. This team is playing at home. They're gonna have game day, I think. Right. They'll probably have game.
Yeah.
Probably, right? It's probably. This team, man, good offense, defense, special teams, all around, man. You gotta win offense, defense, special teams, man.
All three phases.
Yeah, and they're doing that. This team is going to shock number one.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I should. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Next is USC and Utah. I'm gonna pick another road team here. I'm going USC. I think they have so much firepower, and they've proven it. This team, if they win out, they're gonna be in the playoff. They are a good team. I know it's in Utah, but I can't pick against Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley and that team.
I was gonna pick USC for the same reasons. Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley. I mean, I just think they're gonna win. So
yeah, they're a good team. All right, we're moving to baseball. We're moving to baseball. So I need an upset pick, and this is my upset pick. We have the Phillies and the Braves, and I know there's like a good amount of Braves fans here at Xavier. I don't know why there are. I'm going Phillies. They're so hot right now. They played really well in the wild card. I got to give it to them. I think this is the series that they win. And then, they have a fun series against whoever wins the next one, which we'll get to. But I'm going Phillies.
And the Philadelphia Phillies, Atlanta Braves. I think it's a great matchup. They've played each other a ton this year.
Yep.
That's kind of the interesting thing is 3 of these divisional series matchups are teams in the same division.
Yep.
The Phillies are hot, and there's something to be said about teams in the playoffs, especially when they get to the playoffs, that just get on a roll. The Braves did this last year. They were under 500 at the All-Star break.
Yep.
And they just got hot at the end, and you saw what happened. They won the World Series.
Taste of their own medicine.
And
go Phillies.
Even with the fact that at the time of recording, they are down 7-1 in game 1.
That has nothing to. It made my case stronger. I wasn't swayed by that.
I am still going to pick the Atlanta Braves. I think they're too good. They're too deep. They're more experienced this year than last year.
Enough.
This is one game.
It is.
They
one
play
game.
5. They play best of 5 for a reason.
That is true. But and this helps my case a lot.
It's a punch in the gut if you're the Braves. It is, but also you have to take this into consideration. They had 5-6 off days.
Yeah,
that's because they didn't play in the wild card.
That's
I
true.
think they're just kind of getting back into the flow of things because 5 days for a Major League Baseball player in the middle of the season is like 4 weeks because they don't have any off days. They do this every single day.
Okay,
and then the Phillies come in. They're high off an emotional win. I still think the Braves get it done.
Yeah. Okay. So next we have Mariners and Astros. I am all about this Mariners shoe thing, the rally shoe. I'm all about them making the playoffs. I love this team, the Cincinnati Mariners. You love that, or the Seattle Reds or whatever you call them.
It's true.
I'm gonna go Astros because the Astros are just such a good team. Yordan Alvarez is a monster. Justin Verlander is a monster. Hopefully he's back in Detroit someday. Yeah, they're the better team, and there's no denying that. And they're going to have success in these playoffs.
Okay. And this is going to be my upset pick of the pick. Seattle Mariners. I believe in them. On paper, the Houston Astros should absolutely obliterate the Mariners. They won
Yep.
12 of the 19 games that they played against each other this year. There is a little bit of tension. They had a benches clearing brawl in July. Like there is a little bit of history between the teams. Obviously, Dusty Baker, you have Jose Altuve, you have Bregman, you have Yordan Alvarez. I could go on and on and on about the Houston Astros,
Mhm.
but I think there is some fight, there is some heart with the Seattle Mariners. I don't think they care who they're playing. I just think they believe in what they're doing. They believe in the clubhouse, and I think they shock the world.
Mhm.
Go to the American League Championship Series
Ooh.
against the Yankees. We'll get to that
Ooh.
soon.
Okay. Well, we're here right now. So Guardians, Yankees. I'll have you start.
This is my lock.
You're guaranteed.
This
pick?
is my guaranteed. The New York Yankees are going to beat the Cleveland Guardians.
Yep.
Guardians, I love the team. I love the vibe. I love that they're in the playoffs. They're a young team. They made it happen, but they don't have the offensive power to stack up against the Yankees. I know the Yankees have struggled and they've had tough games or tough stretches this year, even with Judge's success, with some of the starting pitching success. There is no way in my brain, especially if Garrett Cole has a really good game one.
Yeah.
I think the Guardians are done. So this is my guaranteed pick. I think the Yankees move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going another upset.
Guardians?
I'm going the Guardians.
Whoa.
Yep. I don't know. This is the issue here. Is I don't know if I've gotten any of these in frame.
It's okay.
It's all right.
Well, it's fine.
Guardians. All right. Guardians. Not my guaranteed pick. No. But they have a cute logo.
Cute logo.
They copied the Red Wings on their logo, maybe. But they're pitching. Again, it's you mentioned it earlier. It's really, really good.
It is.
Yeah. It's good. And I think this team will pull the upset. I relate the New York Yankees to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yes, they have good history. Yes, they have a good roster. Yeah, they should move on to the next round, but they don't. And I think it's the same script. All right. We should move on, but you don't have the experience. Sorry. Guardians don't have the experience either, but they're moving on.
Yeah. They're moving on.
And
also, last thing I'll say about that, if the Yankees do not win the World Series, Aaron Boone is dead to every single citizen that lives in New York City and in Yankees country, whatever they call it.
Yankees country. That's right.
In Connecticut, I don't care where a Yankees fan exists. Aaron Boone is dead to them because that's just how Yankees fans are. I don't condone that at all.
Okay. Padres and Dodgers. This is my lock pick.
Okay.
Dodgers.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very sure because it's my lock pick. Yeah. You know what? They have the injuries in their pitching staff. Whatever. That's it. Whatever. Right. It's the Dodgers. Right. It's the Dodgers. Whatever. Here. Catch.
Okay. I'm going to pick the
Dodgers.
Los Angeles Dodgers as well against the San Diego Padres. The only reason I did not have this as my lock pick was because I saw what the San Diego Padres did to the New York Mets.
That is true.
With DeGrom and Scherzer.
Yeah, that's true.
The Dodgers, as good as they are,
Mhm.
as good of seasons as Gonsolin, Urias, whoever have had, they're not DeGrom, Scherzer. And the Padres went into New York City and beat that Mets team. And the Mets team, top to bottom, isn't as good as the Dodgers.
Nope.
Dodgers are just good, especially
Not even
offensively. But you talked about earlier about people being hot, pitching. This San Diego Padres staff is the hottest in Major League Baseball right now. And I think there is an opportunity for the Padres to make some waves. I don't think it happens, but I think there's probably the best chance.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It's the playoffs. I gotta go upsets, right?
Okay.
I have to. I gotta go Guardians. I gotta go Phillies. It happens, right? It happens in playoffs, especially NHL playoffs. When Stanley Cup playoffs, nothing like it. Okay, and that can be a topic for another day.
Okay.
All right, next we get to NFL. We have Ravens and Giants. I want to pick the Giants so bad. I really, really do. And I'm going to do it. Danny Dimes, you might not have a good game, but your defense is playing well. And Saquon Barkley.
Just
He's
give it
looking
to
healthy.
him. Feed him.
Feed him. I'm going to go the Giants. I probably shouldn't. I really shouldn't, but I'm going to go the Giants.
And this is in New York.
This is in New York.
Baltimore Ravens win. Lamar Jackson, end of story.
Okay. We have Dolphins and Vikings. I'm going to go Vikings. I think they're playing really well. I made the logo a little too small. It's okay. Vikings. It is in Miami, but they're playing really well. Kirk Cousins is playing well. Defensively, they got to come up with some stops in Tyreek Hill, but they don't have Tua. They don't have Teddy for next week, I don't think. So it's going to be Skylar Thompson, quarterback from Kansas State. And I don't think so. All right.
I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings as well. I don't think the Miami Dolphins have recovered, especially from the Thursday night injury to Tua Tagovailoa. I think their morale's low. They're not playing as well as they did the first 3 weeks of the season. And obviously we'll see what happens, but I think Minnesota is the logical pick there.
Yep. All right. So America's game of the week right here. We have the Bills and Chiefs. Oh man, this is such a good game, but I'm going another road team. I'm going the Bills because they've played really well.
Yeah.
And that defense flies all over the field. This is the issue with not having Tyreek Hill, is you can't match speed with speed. I get you have Mecole Hardman, but you're really going to have to rely on the size of your offense, especially with Travis Kelce, to get open and catch passes, especially like against one of the best cover linebackers in the NFL, and Matt Milano, one of the best linebackers, period, in the NFL. I don't think they can do it, especially after they've played well. I don't know if it's well enough yet. It's well enough yet. They'll get to that point. I don't know if it's well enough yet. The Bills, they're playing really good.
I think I'm going to pick the Bills as well. I know the Chiefs beat the Raiders last night. Travis Kelce had 4 touchdowns, also had 25 yards. I don't think the Chiefs were playing at the level that the Bills were playing at last week against the Steelers. Josh Allen is hot. Gabe Davis made some unbelievable plays. And I think there's something to be said. The Bills want revenge in Kansas City because of what happened last year in the playoffs. I think that comes into their mind a little bit. I think they want to stick it to the Chiefs. And Josh Allen is as good as any quarterback in the National Football League. I think they get the job done. I am going to pick the Bills.
How many yards did Kelce have?
7 receptions, 25 yards, 4 touchdowns. Crazy stat
Weird
line.
stat line. Okay. We have Eagles Cowboys, and Eagles are at home in this matchup. Eagles are the better all-around team in this matchup. And I know, all right, Michael, my roommate from last year, big Cowboys fan.
Shout out Michael Daly.
He might get a little angry with this pick. And his story was definitely inspiring for Cowboys fans if they saw it. But I got to go Eagles, all right? They're the better all-around team. They're playing better football. Michael's going to come on and be like, no, they're not. But okay, you could make the argument. They're playing better football. The Eagles are undefeated, all right? Cowboys are 4-1, so very respectable, but you're going into Philadelphia against a rowdy crowd. Do not expect to have over 50% capacity, Cowboys fans, like you did in LA, because that won't happen in Philadelphia,
no.
Especially not Philadelphia. And I'm going Eagles because Eagles and Jalen Hurts.
I am also going to pick the Eagles. And I think, again, they are the better all-around team. I think Jalen Hurts has played as well as almost any quarterback. That offense is clicking. Defense is really good. My one hesitation with the Cowboys is, when is the Cooper Rush magic gonna disappear?
Yeah. Who knows?
Like maybe
never.
Maybe never. Maybe he's a good quarterback for years to come. Maybe they ship off Dak Prescott.
Maybe you could actually, maybe you could ship off Dak. Or maybe you could ship off Cooper Rush and get some.
Maybe this is like, maybe he's getting Wally pipped. Do you know the Wally Pipp story?
No.
Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the Yankees. He got sick one day. Lou Gehrig came in.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
And then he played 2,100 games in a row or something stupid.
Sorry. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. So maybe Dak Prescott just got Wally Pipp. Maybe Cooper Rush is the best quarterback to ever live. Maybe. We'll never know. Well, we might. We will. It just takes some time.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right. That concludes our picks.
It's maybe a long episode.
And that concludes our episode. Wow. We're over an hour. Thank you guys for tuning in this week for episode 5 of the Quick Question Podcast. We really appreciate you tuning in this week. Please share this with your friends. Share this with anybody that you think would like our content, would like our show. Again, drop any comments, any suggestions in comments on YouTube. Send us a note on Instagram. Do whatever.
Oh, new Instagram's coming out. We're gonna make an account Instagram and an account Twitter.
Yes, that is happening. Social media,
Instagram. Oh my gosh, just
words.
Yeah, words.
All right,
we'll share that. We'll put that out on the video.
Yeah,
and
and that'll be the best
maybe
way.
TikTok.
That'll be the best way to engage with us. I think so. Any comments, any suggestions, whatever, you know the drill. But thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Gabe Ryan.
I'm Matt Shafty,
and we will see you next week.
Very much for coming out this evening. Thank you. Get fucked too kind. Hold your applause. This is your song, not mine. Thank you. Please hold your applause. For I just